Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Billy Newman Photo Podcast. My name is Billy Newman. I'm here today with Marina Hansen. How you doing, Marina?
Hey, Billy, I'm doing well.
I think that's great. Thanks for doing a little podcast with me this Saturday.
Thanks for having me on your show again.
Yeah, I think it's episode 81 now. Kind of cool.
Moving up.
Working into that last 20 before we hit that 100.
It's pretty cool.
We got to throw a party.
Yeah, we should.
Throw a party for no reason.
Celebrate.
Thanks, Marina. Well, thanks for doing a little podcast with me. We had a couple pictures that we were going to talk about. I think a lot of it was from this trip that we did to Hart Mountain.
Yeah, that was a while ago now.
Yeah, it was a while ago. That was like May of 2014, I think. And we took the Forerunner out there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was with the Forerunner.
That was fun. I thought that was pretty cool. I put up 3 photos of that trip from a roll of film that I developed after we got back. Maybe I think I shot 2 rolls of film. I was trying to get into film a lot right at that time, at that part of the spring and summer.
I was going to say, I think I remember you shooting a lot of film at that time.
Yeah, I remember that. I think I shot a bit of digital, but I think got my favorite pictures from the film rolls that I shot with that. I think that was one of the last times I used the FJ 20 over here, that Nikon manual focus film camera, before I switched over and I got the battery grip for the N80 finally, where I was able to use the double A's. That's a tricky thing about the N80 is if anybody ends up getting that as a film camera, the regular batteries that you get are those weird like CX9 battery. I know that's a Mazda, I think, but but whatever those, it's like a weird little fat battery. Have you seen those before?
I think I know the kind that you're talking about.
It's like if you took a double A and you just kind of squished it a little bit, like if it were made of Play-Doh and it was just like a little bit fatter.
A little chunk of it.
Yeah. But those were like these lithium batteries that they were making, I think, for a long time in the 2000s to be photo batteries for cameras because they had a better charge. You could run it for longer. Like if you remember, I don't know how it was on your original point and shoot cameras, but I put double A's in mine. I think we had similar ones. I put double A's in there, just regular double A's, and you get like 10 pictures, and then it would go, the battery's dead.
Yeah.
Battery's wiped out. You get through like half a day of taking some pictures on your digital camera with just the set of double A's that I had, and it wouldn't do very good at all. I'm sure that's because I didn't know any better to buy like the expensive type of double A format. I was just, they're all the same. I'll just get these Rayovacs in there. Why is it not running my camera all day? I don't know why.
I think I remember having that problem come up too, though, with my cameras, or with it just being a pretty frequent thing.
Yeah.
You have to buy a whole pack.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
Through on a trip.
And yeah, you go through it a lot. I had that problem up until the point that I bought the D40 and I had the rechargeable battery pack like what we have in the DSLR. That was the first time that it just seemed really effective. Or, I had a couple hundred pictures to take on the battery, and then you just recharge the battery back in the back of the charger. And that was the first time that it seemed to work out really easily. But before that, I remember being really frustrated with digital photography because it just worked through so many batteries. It took so much to power it, and it didn't really ever seem to be very efficient. Even I remember getting like the good stuff a few times. I know it was really frustrating. So that was a big problem with the Nikon N80. But what you could do is you could buy a battery grip that Nikon built, and it changed it so that it made the base of the camera just a little bit bigger, but you could put a tray of AA batteries in now, and you could just get regular AA batteries, or like I think we got a pair of rechargeable lithium ion. I think they're like they're one of the rechargeable AA style batteries, but they last a really long time. I mean, I think we can go through 10 rolls, it seems like, of film on it. I think I just have regular copper top Duracells in my F4 right now, and that's been running through 5 or 6 rolls of film. It doesn't seem to have any problem. Yeah. So I guess the film was a lot easier because it was just that one motor to wind. It was a lot, just let the shutter go up, run the meter for a few seconds, and then do the one wind of the film instead of have to play a little TV screen in the back and run the whole computer and all that other stuff that probably the new ones have to do. I don't know. It's kind of funny to think about. But I remember getting the N80 with the battery grip and then setting that up so I could use like film and autofocus at the same time. And I think I didn't really look back on the FJ20 after that. So I think this part when we were at Hart Mountain was like the last time that I used this camera for a lot of the film stuff. I remember running around with the tripod with you. Like you had your Pentax on that trip. And I think the D7000, I remember like what we're talking about with battery problems. Do you remember the D7000?
Yeah, I was so upset.
It got too cold.
Yeah. It got too cold and the battery died.
Yeah, it would have been full otherwise. That's another issue with those types of, or just with things like that. I remember reading about it early on in like some of those photo tip things is that you had to keep a battery if you were in a cold climate or you're going skiing or something like that. You had to keep a battery like close on the inside jacket that you had so that it would stay warm up next to your body. So you could like pull that one out once your battery got too cold and died.
That's a good idea. I should have done that.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, yeah, and it was not that cold. I don't think
I
it
was
really even froze.
surprised that it happened.
The mountain air like that is strange when you change elevation or change temperature drastically like that. It seems like it really
Yeah.
affects the power of a battery in a big way. I remember it happened a little bit on our trips too when we'd go out. It was pretty consistent, but it was strange though how that would be. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was weird. I've had it happen to me out at work a few times too, where I'm working with the camera and the batteries die because it's just way too cold.
It
It's strange how that affects batteries like that.
is. Yeah, it happens with my phone sometimes.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen some stuff like that happen too. So one of the first pictures that we had was a picture of you grilling up some sausage
Hey.
on the little propane stove that we had on the tailgate of the Forerunner while we were camped out up there. Do you remember that?
I do
I
remember
remember that
that.
breakfast. It was kind of cool. It's always tough because it gets cold fast, or you gotta
Yeah,
like eat
because you're
it on a
outside and
little
it's all
paper
windy.
plate. It looks more fun in the picture sometimes than it is to
Yeah.
eat it. It's like, oh, I am still just kind of eating on a little pile of weeds over my campfire that's now gone out, blowing smoke at me.
Oh, man.
Shoot. Or there's always something you're forgetting, like you didn't bring ketchup, or you didn't bring the whatever thing, didn't
Butter.
bring spoons or forks to eat with, so you just have to kind of pick it up and eat it. I remember a bunch of little things like that. But I think we did a pretty solid job on this trip that we were on.
I think so.
But
That's a
that was
fun little
cute.
shot.
I think
Little
there's a
camp.
there's a picture of a Rolling Rock beer bottle in that. Didn't have a beer in it, but I think it was just left over from the days before camping, and we used it to like pour off the grease, pour off the pork grease from the
Oh,
top from the whatever
yeah.
sausage we were cooking up. We
Oh,
gotta pour
I
it in this
remember
little
that.
beer bottle. Try and get it out of there somewhere. Yeah, it was kind of silly. I think we didn't want the bees coming around or something like
Yeah.
that. Ooh, little critters.
Gotta keep those bees away.
So the other one that we shot, that was over on Hart Mountain. It was over on the east side of the campground, if anyone's been up there. And that's the part where you can look out and you can see that view. You could really look quite far east, like all the way out to the Steens Mountain, which I think is like 80 or 90 miles away. And you can see that. You can see like the dip, this big gouge in the top of Kiger Gorge. There's that section of the mountain there, and there's this really distinct dip that goes on in the mountain. There's a little U shape that's notched out of it, and you can see that as a landmark from a really long distance away. But that's what I think helped us that one time, and I think maybe the other year or this last summer when we were up there, where you could look out and spot the snow top of the Steens Mountain. It's like what 9,000, 10,000 feet up above sea
Yeah.
level, and then you can see that dip in the mountain, which it's weird because at that distance, at like 80 or 90 miles, it gets so blue it almost washes out. Do you remember that? Like
Oh,
the air gets
yeah.
dirty.
I do remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if there's enough smoke and particulate that if it gets in the atmosphere in the lower section, it gets kind of murky at that
Yeah,
distance, and you
it's so
can't really
difficult to
see
see.
that low on the horizon. It's strange how it is. But I remember that trip being pretty cool. Taking a bunch of pictures and I think it was pretty fast too. We like did a quick turnaround. But I remember that maybe like second night when we were up on Hart Mountain, we took a bunch of photographs of that sunset that was around there. There's probably a few others that are going to go out from that trip that I remember. But the first one that went out was this picture that shot up, I think up to like the southwest in the early evening, and that's still when there's the bright magenta filaments of the clouds that are up in the sky, surrounded by that deeper, darker blue color that's there after the sun passes down below the horizon. So it was kind of a cool picture. I like that one. It was nice.
Yeah, the colors in it are pretty.
I like those colors. But yeah, that's still the little evening stuff. I think there's another photo that went out. That was a little self-portrait I snapped of me in the reflection of me, kind of warped by the window of the car.
Yeah,
Yeah, sort of a silly photo, but it was fun. I
that's
like that
cute.
picture. Little film photo. I think that was after we jumped in the hot spring.
Yeah,
Like there's the hot springs that are up there on Hart Mountain, which is kind of cool that there are like active hot springs up in that part of the mountain, and there
that's
are, I
really
guess,
neat.
a few out in the desert. Maybe some stuff that we don't even know about, maybe.
I think
But
there are a few out there.
yeah, there probably are. A lot of them aren't really hospitable for people, but it was
Yeah,
kind
some
of
of them
neat
are.
that the Hart Mountain one was set up just enough for people to get into it. And it was nice because that time of year in early May when we were there was no one up there. It was
Right.
probably closed down still, but there was no one up there. There were like whatever one or two other people, but there was no one up there when we were there. So we ran over, did a little dunk to clean off. That's the tough thing because out in the desert like that, like 3 days of not showering. Sometimes 3 days of not showering in the summertime when you're set up at a campground, no big deal. You're still pretty much clean, going in the river every day.
Mhm.
3 days of roughing it and camping out in Eastern Oregon in like the
The
Oregon outback out there around all the
Yeah, out in the
sagebrush and stuff.
dust.
Yeah, you're covered in dirt and you're just man, it doesn't feel any good at all. So I think that's when we were gonna make our drive back. So we jumped in the hot spring, scrubbed down, and then jumped out, and then made the drive in the Forerunner all the way back from Hart Mountain to Eugene that day. Oh, and then I remember that cool rainbow.
Oh, right. That
Do you
we
remember that
pulled
rainbow?
over to get some photos of, I think.
Yeah, like right as we got back into town, there's a big
Yeah.
rainbow. We took a picture, hanging out under the rainbow as we got back home.
Yeah, I think I have a film photo of the Forerunner kind of under the rainbow.
Oh yeah, I remember
There's
you
like
did go.
a power line in there too. But it's a pretty cute
Mm,
picture.
It's in the city,
Yeah,
hanging out in town.
it's cute.
That cool rainbow, cool little truck. Thanks for doing that trip with me.
That was a cool one. I liked getting to go out there and having that fast turnaround, but like getting to actually be out
Oh,
somewhere
I
far
really
enough.
did too. I remember that was cool because we took off on a Friday night. We didn't really do anything
Yeah.
different, but we just tried to make something of it. We took off a Friday night, got out there to camp for the first time at like 1:30 in the morning. Oh, I was so tired when I got out there. Oh, that was a rough one. Just driving way out, like, oh, where am I? How long do I have to go up this mountain road at 1 in the morning?
So dark.
Yeah, where am I going? Is this working? But it worked out real well. Yeah,
It did.
got set up and yeah, crashed out. Got up the next morning, did a bunch of little photo stuff. Yeah, that was really fun. Thanks for rushing around and doing little trips with me.
Yeah, that was really cool. I had a fun
Appreciate
time.
it. Well, yeah, thanks for doing this little podcast with me. Talk about a couple of those pictures that went up on Instagram, up on my website.
Thanks for having me on your show, Billy.
Ooh, I appreciate you hanging out in the studio with me today. It's cool. You
It's a
gotta
good
do
day
it
for it.
just a little bit more. Yeah.
I
Well,
agree.
on behalf of Marina Hansen, my name is Billy Newman, and thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Billy Newman Photo Podcast.